I'm doing this podcast to really tell a story. And I know people write books, people do other stuff, but I decided to do it in audio form. So why not? Uh, I started getting into podcasting, around that headspace, was 2016. At that point, I had lost my girlfriend, I had lost family members, lost my job, and pretty much had nothing else to do. One day, a fellow podcaster by the name of Anthony Missionary Thomas, you may have heard of him, from Wrestling Soup, suggested, hey, why don't you try a podcast? So I did. And here's the thing about me with stuff like that. I like to do projects. I've always been into projects. I don't care if it becomes famous. I don't care even if it's just for self preservation or can't even say the word. Self-satisfaction or whatever the word you want to use. And I've always had something to do where I've done creative writing, where I did once upon a time did Scotty D TV, which is totally gone now. You'll never see that shit. That was weird shit. That was a really bad time. But this was a really bad time too, because as I said, lost family members, job and all that other stuff. I got into podcasting and really had no business being on a podcast. Because when you get into this sort of stuff, everything's going through your mind. You want to have good audio, and this may sound like I'm underwater. Sorry, I can't really do anything else because hey, that's my setup at the moment. But I've never really had good audio, did I? So you know, we'll go with it. I always had audio issues. I really had no plans on what I was actually going to do, and I think the only real thing I made constant was the Genie Junior gags, and they got really stupid for for a time there. I mean, he was fucking a llama, for fuck's sake. I mean, it made me so illogical that it wasn't even a proper thing. But I got into podcasting and I ended up quitting. Surprise, surprise. About a month later, that I kind of got back into it, started doing a bit different routine, and instead because what I originally was doing a podcast every day, and then I decided to do it. Hey, want to do it after every show or pay-per-view instead, like wrestling shows, and go from there. Then it came to a point where I started doing once a week, and that made things a little bit more easy because I started doing work placement around that point. So it was always on. So it happened to be on a weekend to get stuff done, and I found new life. Very much found new life. And then I met up with people like Johnny Florida from Wrestling's National Committee, Yuck Nasty from Get in the Corner, who's those two. I say are probably if in podcasting best friends, they were probably the two that really helped me out big time. They accepted me. Like I've never been a person that feels I'm accepted into anything, and that was pretty much the first time I ever felt accepted into something. I mean, growing up, and I won't lie, I grew up with a big group of friends going into high school, and then I got into work and my former employment, and I became the guy that was looking for the career, but then I never really got to have much of a young adult life because I was always working. And so, as you do, friends start dropping off here and there, you lose touch, and all that other stuff. And, I came to a point where I didn't feel I was accepted by really much anybody. Friends, family, you name it. Didn't have many girlfriends. Like, I had girlfriends in that time, but not many. And especially the one I broke up with wasn't exactly a bad thing that I lost. But still, it was the mindset at the time because I was really down when I started doing podcasting. And this became a pick-me-up. And of course what happens is, because I was working at the job placement, and I actually did a bad thing and stole a microphone from work. A Guitar Hero mic. Yeah, that stolen microphone pretty much has helped big time. So, who knows, maybe that was a sign, hey, this was something you're meant to do. And I don't think the place that I stole it from will really care that much, because it was a junk shop, and stuff goes all the time, and after people take stuff all the time. But still, still feel kind of bad about it. Probably should apologise, but I don't think they will give two fucks or know what the hell I'm talking about. You stole a Guitar Hero mic? What? We don't care. That's probably what I'll get, if they're still there. So that pretty much set me on a course, and something I loved doing, something I enjoyed, and the whole time I made this a project, and to the point I made goals for that project, and it wasn't just one. And the one thing with me doing projects, once I get to a certain point, that's when I feel it's the end of doing something. I'll come to that a bit later with episode 100. But with this, there was more and more and more happening. And when I was doing the shows with Yuck and Johnny, everything just came flooding in. Like people started coming in to listen. Surprisingly, that's not there. There wasn't many people that were listening, and I did have a pretty bad troll who tried to say I was a pedophile. Yeah. I hope you're rotting in hell, you stupid fuck. So, yeah, but you had people start listening, coming into the show, and the ultimate goal that I had there was to get one listener. One listener. And it turns out that one listener, who was pretty much in the chat room the whole time, it was a bit later, was Luke Birch. Always somebody in the chat room, and to the point, like, we even made the joke that he was living in my Mixler account. And I think as a joke, we made him the chat room Hall of Famer, and we made shirts for it. He actually bought a couple of shirts for that, and thanks to Luke Birch, the entire time the show only ever made $20, especially with the merch. And Luke Birch was definitely, I think, maybe majority of that. But I'm very thankful for him coming in all the time. Further along down the line, because I started doing, I attempted live for the first time by myself. Oh, the first, and actually I'll talk about it a bit before that. Episode 32 was my first live show I ever did, and I did it with Johnny Florida. And as I said, me and Johnny were still new to each other at the time. We really didn't know much about each other, and we just clicked right off the bat. And I've listened to that show back a few times, and I was at the end there doing Retro Genie, playing the old episodes, and me and Johnny just clicked right there. And okay, Johnny goes on about a lot about politics and shit, but people don't understand Johnny like I do. Like yes, I can find him annoying at some points, but hey, probably no kettle of fish either. But still, there's a respect there I can have for Johnny, because he believes in what he says. Like, and half the times what he says might be a bit out there, but at the same time, his beliefs that I have to respect. I mean, he full blown believes the stuff he says. He has, or seems to always be that guy who never lets his values get in the way, and that's something I respect. He won't whether he may have an opinion, and a strong opinion, but he won't force only. He likes to have the confrontation of an argument, which is it does go over my head. It's funny that he knows more about Australian politics than I do. I don't really give a fuck about Australian politics, but then he will go, and he was talking about who's the Prime Minister, who's this and who's that. And I think we had a new New South Wales Premier at one point, and he knew about that, but I didn't because I didn't watch the news at that point. So, oh yeah, you got a new Premier, what? Yeah, you got a new Premier, didn't you hear about this? Blah, blah, blah. I go, no, I don't care to watch the news. That's probably pretty bad. And I hope there wasn't an election that time, but I didn't get a fine. So, and moving on after that, and after that, I think it was the show with Yuck Nasty, and because then a few times the Guitar Hero mic broke, and boy was I upset about that, because there was so much momentum going, doing that, and all of a sudden, when that thing broke, like I was devastated, like I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't really have the money to go out to get a new microphone. Couldn't really and up it had to take me at least a month before I could get another microphone. I ended up ordering it on eBay. Later on I got the Snowball, and well, that kind of didn't last me long either. Podcasting is not easy, especially on equipment, because that is probably the biggest thing you gotta have. I mean, with this, I don't even have a microphone. I'm using the computer mic, and it's hard because, as I said, especially when you get into radio too, you spot the differences in the issues when there's dead air, when there's when there's something that you know that's not supposed to be there. That's what you pick up on, and you can. And what I've learned with radio too, I've also had to pause a little bit. Just because you go with ums and ahs, which I've already done already, and picking up on it, you just got to stop and then keep going. Think of what you're going to say, and yeah, it does get daunting. But anyway, we'll get back to the story at hand. So for a little while there, when we got back, I did the show with Johnny and Yuck. And for a while after that, I was doing recorded shows, and I would actually pay for the Mixler account, but I would play it on the Mixler. I wouldn't do it live. I'd do it on the Mixler. It wasn't until some point last year. Was it last year or year before? No, it was last year, because that's when we did episode 100. Then we had the addition of Bobby Blades, and then I just went, right. As soon as I had him coming on as a co-host, I went, right, we're going live. And balls to the wall, no plans, no anything, and Bobby Blades is probably shitting himself because I don't think he ever did a podcast before at that point. So he's like, oh yeah, we'll come on, so yeah, we're going live. Oh shit, no pressure, right? I've always been like that. I've always been spontaneous, like, hey, let's go with that. Let's go with something different. And going live was definitely something different for me. And Blades coming on was probably the best thing that happened to the show, easily, because he came on, and it was a breath of fresh air, gave me somebody to bounce off, and at first we had great chemistry. We could talk about pretty much anything, and he would have a different opinion. The good and bad about Blades, I mean, I like Blades to this day. We haven't spoken to each other much since the show's done, but I don't think he does social media anymore or any podcasts. And if he still does Inhuman Experience, I'm sorry, I just haven't been keeping up on anyone's podcasts. And me and Blades had our issues, but there was some times that I had to sort of push him along. And the only reason why I did that, because I saw something in that dude. That dude has a lot of talent, especially for podcasting and talking. And maybe you have to prod him along. And there was that one time where we had that argument. And what happened was, and I won't give anything away from Blade, but he's gone through some issues. But he no-showed, and this has been done before. Like, he had no-showed a few shows, here and there, and there'll be no explanation, and not even a thing to say, hey, why I'm not going to be on this week. And I would have been fine with it. If you couldn't come on, but at the same time, he didn't really give me any a heads up. Hey, I'm not going to be on. And the first week was okay. The second week, all right, I'm still getting a bit pissed off, but okay. But then it came to the third week, and he did it, and I lost my shit, because that's what I do. Like if I can't rely on you, I'm going to lose my shit, and it's not. And when you're doing podcasting, when you're doing something like this, you feel responsible. And for the people listening to this, you feel you're definitely responsible for everything you say, everything you do, and when your name's on the show, it's your ass. Your ass that comes back on. So if I've advertised somebody that probably goes, hey, we're going to be on the show, well, and all of a sudden you know shows, well, doesn't that mean look like an asshole? Hey, I'm just using his name to get out there. But I believe it's bad. I believe it's unprofessional when you when I'm forced to advertise something and you can't deliver what you've advertised. And you go with that with radio now, and they'll say the same thing. If you advertise something and you don't follow through with it, unless you have a good reason, you false advertise, and you can get sued for that. Not that we would have got sued. I mean, it's a podcast. I mean, who's going to sue for a podcast because somebody didn't show up one week? And then that's a thing. But you can. That can happen. Because I used to work in, as I said, used to work in a supermarket, and we would have say we have chicken up, it's on a special, but all of a sudden something's in the back computer, whether it's the deals run out or whatever, and we've advertised that price but haven't taken it down, they can actually take us to court for that shit, because technically it's illegal. Yeah, it's a lot of bullshit, isn't it? But yeah, me and Blades, we did patch up, but he never really came back on the show, and he was intended to. Just the week he was meant to come back, that's when I end up having to quit the show. Isn't that something? Like, he was having a lot of internet issues at the end there, because I let him have a few weeks off, and I was going to bring him back for episode 100. And the other thing is, then he disappeared during the show then too. And I was a little pissed off by that, but saying, hey, I'm going to go, I would have been fine, but then he just dropped off the line. I thought that was a little disrespectful, especially when he's on the names meant to be on the show. I have no hate towards the dude now. I mean, that was that was almost a year ago now. He does what he does, and I wish Blades well for what he's doing now. Another person we had on the show was Bobby Anthem, and I love doing the show with Bobby Anthem. Everybody loves Bobby Anthem. I can't say nothing but good things about that man. He even included me into a rap song. How cool is that? Sky Genie's in a rap song, and I'm not talking about the ones I tried to do. Those ones are bad. But we also had the inclusion of Klondike Bill, who's one of the funniest fucking people in the world. An American living in an Australian living in America, and boy does that man he won't take no bullshit, and he is probably one of the funniest motherfuckers in the world, bar none. And I have to always thank Klondike Bill for, when I couldn't do the show anymore. He was totally understandable. He was the first person to reach out to me out of everybody. The first person to reach out to me to make sure I was okay and make sure I had a roof somewhere. And it sucks because I would do a show with Klondike Bill today, and if I could, like that, the amount of respect I have for that man, like it's wow, I can't explain it. And it's like people like that who not only can make you laugh, but actually give a shit when something bad happens. And and sure, and I do try to keep up with him on Twitter, like I'll joke around him with every so often. And yeah, easily one of the best dudes I ever met or ever got to do a podcast with. I never actually got to meet these people, which sucks because these are a whole. I feel that they're, as I said, part of a family with them, and I've never got the chance to meet these people. Doesn't that suck? If I could go to the US, I'll be definitely doing that tour. And next is Mike Neon, who was on for a little while. I haven't really heard from him much either, because as you do, we pretty much lost touch. It was definitely fun to do, and it's fun to get a wrestler's aspect, because when you had that wrestler's aspect, and when I was asking him questions and stuff, like, it was interesting because with wrestling, you always have that pushback between fans and wrestlers. Like when you hear news and they always criticize it, so it's good to get a wrestler's point of view instead of just like non-wrestling fans. Because when you just have non-wrestling fans' point of view, it kind of gets one-sided. So that's what Mike brought to the show, even for that short little time. And I was trying when I tried to revamp the show, he was trying to help me get interviews on the show. He was the first interview I ever did. Shocking, right? Did 2 years of podcasting and that was the first interview. And it was funny because it's funny when we had that, a lot of these people just ended up coming on the show. There was 5 co-hosts on the show. To the point I had to separate it to sort of like not have so many talking heads over each other. And I should I include the Final Wish After Party in this, or should I make that another episode? No, the Final Wish After Party, I'm bringing that in. Wasn't that the most fun show we ever did? Because there was nothing planned. Like that's where the whole wow. I actually can't say that one because I might feel bad about it. I don't think I could say much about any of it really, because it's kind of a bit off the wall and out of the blue, and partly because of me. But then Bobby Hantham kind of got that baby death thing over. What else do we have? Ribbing, random intergalactic bestiality. Don't know where the ING came from. That was just because I was being a fuckwit. But Bobby Antham's reaction to that instantly made that something special. That's something why I like Bobby Antham, because he can get shit over just based on his reaction, and it wasn't expected at all. I knew I would get a reaction, but didn't know I'd get that reaction, and obviously that came about. And I wouldn't make shirts about it because I was scared I was going to come back on us. It's like, maybe not put money on that. But anyway, we wouldn't have sold it anyway. But yeah, and then came to episode 100, and I had been working on that show for months in my head, trying to think how am I going to have that, like, how's that show going to go? How am I going to plan this? I brought some friends on from school from that, Benny and Luke. I think we had Eric. Do we have Erica come on that? Maybe we did for a little while, and people know about Erica. Episode 100 was definitely the ultimate goal. Became the ultimate goal in the end there, and to have that and I actually really liked that show. And to have that come off the way it did, and easily probably the best episode we ever did, probably the biggest episode we ever did. We had Missionary come on, we had Yuck Nasty, we had Johnny Florida, we had Papa Dave. Like, everybody that was known in podcasting was on that show. I mean, man, I don't think that show could have been pulled off better. And here's the thing, like, as much as I tried to plan for it, I let it go all out the window. And that's what I thought was great about that episode. And pretty much after that, I tried to revamp the show because at the same time I was becoming, with me, as I say, I like change. I like to change things up a bit. I like to do stuff differently. And as I said, we had like 5 different co-hosts on the show. So I decided, well, let's separate them into hour 1 and hour 2. But I started to think, as getting kicked out of home was definitely the one of the reasons and the big killer for the Sky Genie Show. But then also I did think in mind that after a while it got to about maybe Christmas time, and I thought I've pretty much done everything I needed to in podcasting. Well, for the Sky Genie Show specifically. It was meant to get one. The whole goal was to get 1 viewer. We did that. We get 1 listener. We did that. I think we had up to 40 people at one point listening in on the show. I think that's done pretty good, considering we had no budget, no form of advertising besides Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, but I feel I worked really hard doing that. What else was there? We got to episode 100, and like we did it. We did everything. Like we got merchandise. We had a website. We were on freaking iTunes. You don't get on iTunes for nothing. Like you could spend years and years getting on iTunes. And like I've known podcasters that took 5 to 6 years getting on iTunes. We did it in 2. So we're doing stuff like that. I think we've done pretty damn well. It was time for me to move on. And at this point, like I already looked into going into radio. Radio, this spawned my what I love to do, and I decided, because I love doing the podcasting, I love doing that, and I decided, why don't I make this a career? And when I started, I did want to try and juggle the two. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I was going to try. But it came to a point where I couldn't really do it. And I did come back to podcasting for a little bit, but it wasn't the same. I didn't have the same love and passion for it anymore. And like I'd still be happy to come on my friend's podcast now. Just I don't really have a lot of time to do that anymore because I am working at the radio station at 2 Bob Radio. I think 3 to 4 days out of the week. Sometimes I do try to get some weekends off, because if I can get those 2 days, I'm right. 1 day off, I'm probably terrible. But I mean, since I've been at 2 Bob, because what I did starting there, I started doing training, and what they had me doing, like I pretty much had to record everything, pretty much what I was doing for podcasting, and think of something different. But I incorporated what I've been doing what I did in the training was incorporate a podcast in the style of radio. So pretty much what I'd do, like I would list out a heap of songs, because I think it was meant to do about 8 songs. That's about half an hour. That's all I wanted. And in between that, what I would do, like I'd have one big blue book of songs, and I'd have another little book of topics. So depending on what it is, like the topic could be about New Year's, the topic could be about Christmas, But sometimes you'd have those weeks where you couldn't really think of anything about public holidays, so you'd go to stuff like comic books or movies or um, something I was watching on YouTube, like abandoned houses. I like watching those abandoned houses shows, or that on YouTube where they go into all those places. And shout out to Exploring with Fighters, by the way. Good guy. Um, stuff like that. And but when I was there at Two Bob, I didn't feel I was getting the respect there yet, and it had to be earned. Definitely had to be earned. So what I did, an Avara fair came up. So pretty much, have like to with Two Bob, it's a community station, so they rely on public donations to for them to keep going. And so they had this Enviro fair to help raise money for the station, and I went there and shit you not, stood at the gate from about uh, 10 o'clock in the morning to about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Did not move, even to go to the toilet. I didn't really need to go to the toilet that badly, surprisingly, but did not leave that spot until about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Collecting donations, standing there smiling to people coming in. Hey, thank you for come on in, have a good time. As they'll leave, thank you for coming. I hope you come back another time. Just doing stuff like that, and doing that, I had the respect of everybody in that station, and that's when they started taking me a bit more seriously. And since then, like I've been getting to do shows, especially afternoon drive shows. They're a lot more. They're a lot of fun. Like I've been doing them with Brendan and a guy called Brendan, and the show he goes by Chuck. So as a joke and as a thing with podcasting, I'll be going as Norris. So it's Chuck and Norris. Uh, the other shows I've been doing, like I've been mostly sitting in on an AM show. One of the guys there I was meant to do, I'm doing the shows with. He's meant to give me like news and or weather and not so much news because we can't do news, but like weather and rays and stuff, or like stuff going around the town. And like I went to read the weather. He didn't. He said the mic wasn't working and just took it off me, and I've never read the news on his show again. Oh, sorry, the weather. Keep saying the news, but the weather. Yeah, it's like it was like one of the craziest things. It's like okay, so and I'm guessing he likes to do the shows on his own, but that's just good for him. But the afternoon shows, I get to do a bit more, and I get to talk a bit more, and I've actually controlled the show. It's really daunting. It's more daunting than you think, and like people will say to you when you go into radio that it's a really easy job, and it's not, because especially when you're working with CD players, because you're constantly changing the CD players, you're making sure the levels are right on the dashboard, on the computer, because you have like a what they call jazz line. That's like their feeder system. So you have all that. You got to click all these ads and stuff like that from the station. And so there's a lot of work that actually goes into it. And also what I've been doing, because I've been editing, they're giving me the kids shows, because they have a program where high school kids come in and they record shows, and some of them are good and some of them are absolutely terrible. Like I can't say their names, but there's a group of girls that go on there and they're horrible, absolutely horrible. You would never want to listen to them. But then there's another guy who's absolutely hard to edit for because he's really good. Because in radio, what you got to do, because we have to have the news, and like there'll be ending of the intro of the ending of the outro of the news. And usually, sometimes they'll give a 2-second delay, whereas this guy just goes right off the back, so there's no dead air. It makes it really hard to edit for, and sometimes I've had to edit out his good afternoon. And because that goes around Australia. So I send that up to Melbourne, and that goes around Australia. So I get that responsibility. I also do research around the area for one of the other guys in there for like each show because he likes to be a bit controversial. Um, I don't want to say names, but I guess I call him. We'll call him Mr. C. It's a bit obvious, but Mr. C. And with radio, you could have realised that there's characters there, and there's a lot of characters there. And especially when I went there on last Wednesday, we were treated to a concert by one of the same dude I was finding hard to edit for. I had to do editing for the we got got the a free concert out of it, which was funny as because he was me and the other guy wanted to put him on the show, but the songs he was singing he couldn't actually put onto air because there was swearing into it. And it's funny with the system on there because we have songs that do have swearing on there, but we've got to apologise for it. And it was last Friday. I put on. It was one of the songs. I was in charge of putting the songs, and every song choice I picked, it was out of the hot lot, and it was their music that I wanted to play out of the hot lot. Every one of them had swearing, and here's me going, well, I guess we're going to be in a bit of a naughty show this week. We're gonna, and the feature album that we're meant to play is going to have more. And I'm thinking, maybe I should get myself out of this. And then I started playing my own music, and then I played Black Hole Sun, which got me in the good books. But one thing I made when the guy at radio pop was when I played Ghostbusters. He loved that. And if anybody knows me and how I like to do music, I'm even pissed I can't do music on here. I might, depending on where I upload this, I'm guessing it's going to be on YouTube. If this is on YouTube, I can't have music. Doesn't that suck? But if I do it on BitChute, I'll probably upload it. I'll probably upload it as the outro. Yeah. But that's pretty much where I am right now, especially with podcasting and radio. And I will say I do miss podcasting. I do miss the interactions I have with people. I guess I could say I'm a retired podcaster now, and more radio personality now. But I do feel thankful for podcasting because if it wasn't for podcasting, I wouldn't be doing this right now. I wouldn't be doing anything related to radio right now. And that's been my ultimate goal. My goal now with radio is to get to 2 years experience. Because with radio, they want 2 years experience before you get paid work. So if I can get that, if we get that down pat, and also learn properly instead of going in and expecting it to. I'd rather learn properly than getting a degree and just going, hey, I'm capable just because I have a bit of paper. I mean, I did that. And I feel that bit of paper has been pretty much worthless because unless you have the experience and people can trust that you can actually carry a show on your own, I don't think you'll ever get I don't think you'll ever ever get anywhere in radio in that aspect. It's just that's just my opinion, and I think I'm getting the best education possible doing what I'm doing now. And I don't know if I've improved since I've done podcasting. You can be the judge of that. But I'd like to thank everyone for listening to this show. It's been a long time coming. I do miss everybody, and I'll always be thankful to you. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. And this is what this podcast is this particular podcast, this episode is to thank everybody from everybody that I did podcasting with Bobby Blades, Klondike Bill, Bobby Anthem, Mike Neon. Also thank friends of the show, Anthony Missionary Thomas, for suggesting it. Yuck Nasty and Johnny Florida for probably being my biggest supporters. Like anytime I needed extra heads, you 9 times out of 10 they were available, and I definitely want to thank them. And Luke Birch, of course, for always listening on the show, and everybody else who listened to the show. Uh, you definitely motivated me to do a lot more in life, and I can't express how much thankful I am for that. Thank you all for listening to this impromptu stuff. I'm going to upload this, and I hope everybody is well and safe. And thank you for listening, and I'll catch you later.